Most of us receive emails on a daily basis. Apart from the clear benefits that email brings, there is also a certain associated risk, especially in the form of phishing. Phishing emails are messages that a hacker sends us in order to influence or compel us to do something. The hacker may be interested in obtaining our personal data, sensitive information from the organization we work for, or trying to persuade us to click on an enticing link that downloads a malicious code that can hijack the computer or monitor our activity on the device. The success of an attack is usually supported by the fact that the hacker purposefully combines different attack techniques, everything from getting as much information about the victim and their organization as possible from the internet, writing a seemingly trustworthy email, to creating a fictitious website. You may even encounter spear phishing, which is a special form of phishing where the attack is tailor-made to a specific person. This means that the email is not sent to multiple recipients in bulk in the hope it catches someone, but is created especially for you. Preparing such an attack means gathering information from your social media account, such as your job, hobbies, friends, or information about where you went to primary school. The vast majority of people with an email have received phishing emails in the past, and many have clicked on dangerous content. Why is that? Are we just stupid, naive users who fall for every scam? Not at all. Cybercriminals are well prepared for their attack, and they also use tactics that evoke a sense of urgency to force us to act immediately and, if possible, recklessly. If you get the opportunity to study a phishing email in peace, you can usually recognize that it's not a legitimate message quite easily. You will notice telltale characteristics such as a suspicious sender address, grammatical errors, or incorrect information that the correct sender should know. The problem with identifying these signs is when we act under the influence of an emotion such as fear, anger, compassion, or desire, which is further intensified by a form of coercion by the hacker, such as a limited time to respond or meet certain requirements. A combination of all these factors means we are often unable to assess an email with a cool head. The above facts point out why you should treat every email with a certain amount of caution, especially if it comes from someone you don't know, you weren't expecting an incoming message, the requests in the email are inappropriate. For example, you're not authorized to share the information or do the things they ask. The email is trying to evoke an emotional response in you. It implies a sense of urgency. Most importantly, the email indicates that you have to do something, usually click on a link, open an attachment, or provide some important information. In all these cases, be wary. This may well be a phishing email. What could happen if the hacker is successful? The hacker could gain control of your device, hijack the device or the entire company network, steal sensitive data, misuse confidential information, cause you or your organization huge financial losses. Now look closely at this email to see if you recognize any signs of a phishing email. You may well have noticed the different email domain. Words like block and urgent create anxiety and a sense of urgency in you, and then there's a link to click on. Some fake links are easy to spot, especially when they link to a page that has absolutely nothing to do with the message in the body of the email. An example is an email whose message contains information about the expiry of a license from Microsoft, but the link leads to a page whose name does not even remotely resemble this company's official website. Another type of spurious link is a message with a non-standard top-level domain, TLD. Let's show this with an example from Microsoft again. The link will not lead to the page www.macrosoft.com, but for example to the page www.macrosoft.biz, or another non-standard TLD will be used, such as IO, org, and others. The third type of fake link will have some prefix or suffix in the domain name itself. This means that instead of the official website www.macrosoft.com, the link may be www.macrosoft-office.com or something similar. The fourth characteristic type of suspicious link will take advantage of typographic similarities and thus try to look like a completely legitimate email. One fairly typical example of such a confusing substitution purposefully used in an attack is the use of the lowercase letters R and N next to each other, which at first glance looks like a small letter M. Imagine you're in a hurry and need to click on the company link below. Which is the right one? The legitimate link is, of course, the first one. It's obvious that the only thing that separates us from fatally compromising our entire device or the transfer of sensitive personal data to a hacker is a brief moment of distraction. It's important to approach links with caution. Remember that a hacker can write anything in the body of an email, even the real address, yet the link can lead to a completely different page. You can always check where the link actually leads by using the mouse to hover the cursor over it and waiting for a second or two until you see a link to the real target page. However, it's still recommended that you don't click on these links under any circumstances. Still not sure what a fake link might look like? That's fine. In some cases, it can be a pretty tough nut to crack. If you're unsure about the legitimacy of a link, it won't hurt to access the site manually using a web browser. This means that when an email prompts you to log into your internet banking via a link, you open a web browser and manually type in the address of your bank's website, which you should know very well. Under no circumstances should you access the site through a link in an email or copy or rewrite that link into a web browser. What happens when you click on a link? You may find yourself on a site created by the hacker that often looks exactly like the legitimate one. But don't be fooled. You might not even notice anything's wrong after clicking on a fake link, and yet such a click can do a lot of damage. Pay particular attention when opening email attachments. They may well contain malware, which is a malicious code that could allow a hacker to access your device remotely, hijack your computer, or perform other actions that may not be in your best interests. Malicious attachments come in various formats. They can come from Microsoft Office, such as Word or Excel with macros, as well as PDF or .exe. If you have even the slightest suspicion, be very careful with such attachments and don't open them under any circumstances. What to do if you've been a victim of phishing? If you realize that you've disclosed your data to an untrustworthy source in time, try to change it as soon as possible using an official route. You can then contact the operator of the service that the hacker imitated and inform them about the misuse of their identity. If you have opened a dangerous attachment or downloaded and installed an untrustworthy program, have your device scanned and cleaned by an antivirus program. In serious cases, contact the police. If you have responded to a phishing email from a device at work, contact the person in charge of resolving security incidents immediately or report the incident via an internal application specifically designed for this purpose. Then follow the instructions they send you. Under no circumstances should you delete the message unless instructed otherwise by authorized personnel. So, now you know how to recognize a phishing email and how to avoid its consequences. See you at the next course.